Welcome back to Just a Minute, Just a Mishnah. This Mishnah is the Nishmas for the Basrachan, the Schos of Yitzchak ben Gila, and the Frost Ser Basriva. So Masechas Bava basra, Perak Beis, Mishnah Aleph, Mishnah Beis. Loich bar Adam bar Samach labar Shachaveri. You can't dig a pit next to your friend's pit, V'lai Siach, and you can't dig a Siach, which is like a long, narrow pit, V'lai Ma'ara, not a cave, V'lai Amasamayim, or like a water channel going through your field, and you can't build like these. It's like a big pool to wash clothes in. As long as you're 3 tfachim, 3 handbreadths away from from the walls of your friend's pit, and you have to cover the sides of the wall. If there's water in it, you have to cover the sides of the wall with like cement or tar, so that the water doesn't damage your friend's. So the water doesn't like eat into the earth and damage your friend's pit. So you have to take, if you have gefes, which is like the leftovers after you press olive, so the pieces of olive that have been pressed, zevel, and fertilizer and salt and cement, slime and like boulders, all of these things you have to take away from your friend's wall, 3 tvachim, 3 handbreadths away from your friend's field. V'sad besid, and you have to cover the sides of. So we're talking about cases where you have these things piled up in a pit, and they can damage the earth, which will then damage the wall. So then you have to put them in the pit 3 handbreadths away and cover the sides of the pit with tar. Marchikin is azraim v'samacharesha. So zraim, which is if you're sowing a field or plowing or urine, v'smeiraglaim minakos shlosh tvachim. In all these cases, you have to move them at least 3 handbreadths away from your friend's field, so it doesn't damage the earth, which will then make the foundation of the wall unsteady. And if you have millstones, so obviously then if you think about it, there's 2 stones, one on top of the other, which you grind with the handle on top, so the lowest stone is wider. So that wide stone has to be 3 tvachim, 3 handbreadths away from the wall, which is from the top part, which is a bit smaller. From there, it's 4 tvachim, it's 4 handbreadths away. And their ovens, so their ovens in those days, they would be very wide at the bottom, and they would get narrower and narrower as they go up. So the oven from the bottom has to be 3 tvachim, 3 handbreadths away. Shein arba min hasafa, which from the top, from the lip of the oven, will be 4 handbreadths away. Mishnah Beis lo yamid adam tana b'secha bais. You can't put. So we're talking about here a case where we have a few houses next to each other, and the neighbors. So all the things in this Mishnah, the neighbors can force anyone living in one of the houses to do, so that their oven doesn't cause their house to catch on fire, which will then spread to the neighbors' houses. So lo yamid adam tana b'secha bais. You're not allowed to put an oven inside your house. Ella imkein yeshal gabav goiva arba amas, unless from between the oven and the ceiling there's a gap of 4 amas, 4 cubits. If you're putting it on the roof, so there has to be at least 3 tvachim, 3 handbreadths of like tar, basically, to stop it from burning the roof. And by a kiro, which is some sort of smaller oven. So over there, you only need a tefach. You only need 1 handbreadth of tar. V'im hizik mashal mashi hizik, and if he damages, meaning if a fire happen, if it catches fire, then he has to pay for the damage. Rabbi Shimon Aimer lo yamar kol hashirona ela elashim hizik pater milashalim. Rabbi Shimon says that we didn't say all of these rules, so that he'll have to pay. Meaning that if he followed all of these rules and somehow it still caught on fire, then he doesn't have to pay. And those are those mishnayos.